What's up guys, welcome back to Tradingofftilt. I'm Ryan, and today's video we're going to be going over the Elliott wave count that I have for Bitcoin. And as usual, we're going to be starting with the macro time frame. And I want to show you guys the main macro count that I'm going with as of now. And that would be this one right here. And to clarify, we're actually on this chart right here. It's called the Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin, which actually shows the most price history for Bitcoin out of any chart on the TradingView platform. So I recommend you guys use this if you want to do any sort of macro analysis, because it actually has more price history than Bitstamp. So yeah, this is the main count that I'm going with on Bitcoin, and that would be having us in this super cycle wave 3 right here, where we completed this 1, 2 here, and we're currently in an extended wave 3. Now, there's a few reasons why I think this count is more likely than the alternative counts that I feel that I see a lot of people going with. And I'm going to show you guys the main count that I do see a lot of people going with, which is this one right here. I'm going to go through that count that I showed you guys right here a little bit later. I just kind of want to show you guys the reasons why I do think this count is more likely compared to the alternatives. And this happens to be the most popular alternative count that I have seen. And we can see the notes down here that I kind of laid out for you guys. And the first problem with this one, which isn't necessarily a problem, we're just kind of going off probabilities, that the wave 3, based on what was brought up in the wave principle, tends to be the extended wavelength within an impulse. So in this case, this wave 3 would not really be extended compared to this wave 1. We'd probably be assuming an extended wave 5, because you want to expect at least one extension within an impulse. And since we don't get an extended wave 1 or an extended wave 3, this wave 5 would most likely be extended if this is indeed a 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first problem per se, quote unquote problem, not really a problem, just kind of, it's less likely we do get a non-extended wave 3 than we do get one. But the main problem that I would identify as a problem is saying that this is a wave 2 and a wave 4 of the same degree, because you don't get any alternation between this wave 2 and this wave 4 based on the structure that they make and the price retracement. For example, this wave 2 makes a ABC, a very sharp ABC or WXY structure. And this wave 4 does the exact same thing, ABC or WXY. And you want to see alternation between the structure, which we don't really get. Now, I'm not saying these are the same structure. These are the same. I'm not saying these are both zigzags or both WXY double zigzags for that matter. I'm just kind of showing you guys that you do want to see some alternation in the form that they make, and they both come in the way of a sharp ABC or WXY. And in addition to that, you don't get alternation among price retracement, because this wave 2 retraces very far, I believe about 86%. And this wave 4 retraces about the same amount as this wave 2 right here. It retraces about 83-84%. So in summary, you don't get alternation between price retracement or the actual structure made up among wave 2 and wave 4, which to me indicates that this is most likely an extended wave 3, as opposed to assuming this is a 1, 2, and this is a 3, 4, and this 2 and 4 would be of the same degree. I think it's more likely that we're looking at what I was showing you guys earlier in this count right here, that this is an extended wave 3 as shown, where this is a super cycle wave 1, 2, and this would be, instead of being a cycle wave 3, 4, it's a cycle wave 1, 2 of this super cycle wave 3. That makes a lot more sense, because this wave 2 retraces so far, which is a very typical, it's very typical of a wave 2 to retrace almost the entirety of the wave 1, but it's not very typical for that. It's not very typical for a wave 4 to retrace about 85% of the wave 3, if that makes sense. So it makes more sense for me calling this a 1, 2, and then in that case we'd be assuming this is all going to be an extended wave 3. So I'm going to zoom in and show you guys what we're looking at. I don't want to kind of ramble on too much or spend too much time on the subdivisions, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably wondering what we're looking at in this more local section right here. But I will quickly go through these subdivisions to kind of show you guys what I'm looking at in this section right here. And that would start out with this over here, this wave 1, which would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the cycle wave 1, down for a WXY, most likely a double zigzag for the wave 2. Then we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 3, So this is pretty interesting. We actually get an extended wave 5 in this wave 1 and an extended wave 5 in this wave 3. A little bit interesting because, like I mentioned to you guys, you do tend to want to expect to get an extended wave 5, or rather, excuse me, an extended wave 3 as opposed to an extended wave 5. But in this case, we get extended wave 5s. But that's besides the point. We get a wave 4 here for a triangle for an A, B, C, D, E. Then we get a wave 5 up here, which puts in this supercycle wave 1. Then we come down for the supercycle wave 2. I'm not going to get into the subdivisions too much, but basically we have a double zigzag for WXY. Then we come up for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to put in this wave 1 here. And this wave 2 correction right here is a little bit tricky. I am saying this is a WXY for a double zigzag. This would be ABC, wave W. This would be a triangle for the wave X, and then an ABC for the wave Y. So I'm going to zoom into the daily chart to show you guys a little bit more detail on what I'm looking at, in case you guys want to kind of see how I did. If you want to pause the video and kind of see how I did subdivide it. But this is basically what I'm looking at in this section right here. Then moving up off this wave 2, this would start this cycle wave 3, which to clarify is going to be part of this super cycle wave 3. And this is nothing new to you guys because this is going to be aligning with the previous counts that I've shown you guys in my previous videos. And this would be saying that this is a wave 1 here for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be a wave 2 for a WXY. Now this is a little bit interesting. So the way I subdivided this wave 2 is saying that it started out with a double zigzag for a WXY. Now you can't really say this is a zigzag in itself for an ABC because you can't get a proper diagonal out of it. If you guys want to ask, why we can't get a proper diagonal out of it, then feel free to join us on the Discord and kind of ask me questions about the counts that I'm going to show you guys in this video. But I don't want to ramble on too much and kind of waste your guys' time. So I will show you guys the gist of what I'm looking at. And if you guys do want to ask additional questions later, join the Discord and ask the questions there. But what we're looking at here is this double zigzag because this comes in the way of an ABC for this first move to give us this wave W. Then we get an ABC for the wave X, and we get another ABC for this wave W, or rather for the wave Y to complete this wave W. Then we move up for this wave X, and this is kind of a little bit debatable. The reason I'm saying it's a wave X is because if you were to put this wave W right here instead of putting it right here, then you kind of have to assume this is some sort of strange impulsive structure that starts a correction where this would be an ABC. But since it's impulsive, you would have to assume, given that we came below these lows right here, it cannot be some sort of wave 1 or wave A. So it most likely is the wave C up A flat, because that's really the only other impulsive structure you could get besides an impulse, besides being part of a larger impulse. So that's why I'm kind of saying this is going to be a wave X right here, and this would all be ABC, ABC. This would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete an expanded flat for the wave X. And it also makes sense because if we were to put the wave X here, if we were to put the wave X right here, we'd have to be assuming this is a very short zigzag. So we're kind of forced to choose between two pretty messy counts for the most part, because we'd have to be, in the previous count, we'd have to be assuming a pretty short wave X as shown. Whereas in this count, we'd have to be assuming a pretty short wave Y for a zigzag. And I think this one makes a little bit more sense than the other count that I showed you guys. So to summarize, this would be a wave Y for a flat for an ABC, and that would be completing this wave 2. And then nothing new here. We get a 1, 2, 3, 4. And the only new thing that I have to show you guys, I think it makes more sense to put this wave 5 here and say this wave 3 ended right here as opposed to right here. If you guys want to see why, check out my previous video that I made last week on, kind of debunking counts that a lot of people are going with. And I kind of showed you guys why I think it's a lot more likely that this wave 3 indeed ended here as opposed to right here, where the orthodox top was put in here. But anyways, that would be putting this wave 3 here. And yeah, we're currently in a wave 4, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are kind of in line with as far as year counts go. And that's basically the macro count that I'm looking at on the more macro time frame. So now let's go ahead and go to the Coinbase chart, and I want to show you guys the more local counts that we could be looking at in this section right here. All right, so we actually switch over to the Bybit chart because I have more counts on the Bybit chart to show you guys at this point. And I'm going to try to breeze through these counts because I don't want to ramble on too much. So I want to reserve Discord for a space for asking questions. And for the sake of this video, I'll show you guys the counts that I'm looking at and show you which I think are the most likely. But if you want to ask more additional questions on why I think they're more likely and how I ride with these counts, then feel free to ask on Discord in the link down below. And mainly what we're looking at in this count, as you guys are probably aware of, is this being a WXY for an ABC expanded flat for the wave W. Now this could actually be, we could count it a little bit differently as I showed you guys in my previous video, but this is one possibility to get a wave W down here for an ABC. This would be a wave X for an ABC for a zigzag, and we'd be in a wave Y, which there's a few ways we could count it. First of all, we could say this is all a W wave down here, and we'd be assuming this is all a double zigzag, where this would be ABC zigzag number 1. This would be wave X to correct the first zigzag, and then we're going to be coming down for the second zigzag, which is going to look like this, ABC. And that's going to bring us down quite far. My best guess would probably be around the 20K, low 20K region to even below 20K. So that's a very bearish count we could be looking at. Now, alternatively, we could have actually put in the wave Y right here in the case that instead of this being a double zigzag and this being a wave W, it could look a little bit like this, where this was a wave W right here for an ABC. This would be a wave X and this would be a wave Y. And that would be completing the double zigzag, as opposed to assuming this is all a larger zigzag and this would be a wave W as so. So that was the second count. Now, I don't think this count is as likely as the previous count because of the volume that we're getting off the lows. If we did indeed put in that wave Y and we completed that wave 4 correction and this were to be some sort of wave 1, I would have expected to see a little bit more volume in this wave 1, but we're still, for the most part, getting decreasing volume or steady volume. So I'm not too convinced yet, at least at this point, that this is a wave 1 right here. I think the probabilities of it being a wave 1 are much less likely than it simply being a wave A of some sort, and this could be a wave B, C. So that's kind of my take on that section right here. If we were to go with the WXY count, I think the double zigzag, which brings us a little bit lower, actually a lot lower, is going to probably be more likely than the previous count where we actually put in the WXY right here. So that's the first count we could be going with. Now the second count, which I would actually say is a little bit more likely than the zigzag, rather more likely than the WXY count, is the running triangle count. And that would be saying this is A for a WXY right here. This would be a wave B. And actually, I think a better way to put it would be a W here. This would be an X, and this would be a Y. Now, I'll just show you guys real quick. This would be ABC for an expanded flat for the wave W. This would be a wave X, and this would be a zigzag for the wave Y for ABC. And that would be completing the wave A of a triangle. Now, we already got one WXY, which means we can't get another complex correction within this triangle. So these all have to be zigzags, the B, C, D, and E. So that means this wave D most likely has to be, well, not even most likely, if it is a triangle, it has to be an A, B, C zigzag. And the best way I would count this, I can show you guys this a little bit later, but the best way I would count this is saying this would be a triangle for the wave B. Now, let's see if I have that on my chart. I think it would look like this. Yep, it would look like this, where this would be an A, this would be a triangle for the wave B, then we're going to be coming up for this wave C. That's what we're looking at for the triangle count. Now, assuming this is a zigzag, we want to be looking for the 1-to-1. So essentially, assuming this wave C equals about the same length as the wave A. So if this is a triangle, then let's go ahead and take the length of the wave A. Then if this is a triangle, the wave B ended right here. And the 1-to-1 is coming in around 50K approximately. So that's going to be a pretty big level to be looking out for towards the upside, especially if we take out these highs right here. Now I want to clarify in the previous count that I showed you guys, the WXY. If we do take out this wave A or this wave C, well, I'm going to say if we take out this wave A, that's going to be invalidating this being a triangle altogether, because that would mean this would have to be most likely a zigzag, because it can't be a contracting triangle or it can't be a barrier triangle, because it would be coming above the end of the wave A. Now it could pop above the end of the wave A in the case of a barrier triangle, but in this case, a barrier triangle just simply would not make sense because this would be a downtrend. And you can't really get a barrier triangle with the AC trend line being horizontal if this were to be a downtrend, because that would be assuming this is a wave X. You'd want to see to clarify, the BC trend line being horizontal as opposed to the AC trend line being horizontal. Now that's a little bit confusing. If you guys want to ask more about that, then feel free to do so in the Discord down below. But that's basically what I'm looking at. If we do come above this wave A, then, well, rather, if we come above this wave C, we're invalidating this being a wave C, and we could be looking at this being a longer wave C, as shown, which would mean we're going to come down for the wave D, then up for the wave E. I think that's a lot less likely than simply this being A, B, C, D, E, but that's another possibility. Now, if we take out the wave A, that's going to be invalidating this being a triangle altogether. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that real quick. And let's go back to the previous count, which is the running triangle. That's basically what we're looking at, this being an A, B, C for the wave D. And this count makes a lot of sense if you go to the daily chart, because we're actually getting decreasing volume. Starting out with the wave A, we get decreasing volume throughout the progression of the contracting triangle, which is exactly what you want to see. So you want to see, when we come up for this wave D, you want to see the volume continue to decrease, or at least remain steady. You don't want to see it starting to pick up, because that could indicate that this could indeed be a 1, 2, and maybe we could be moving into that wave 3 as opposed to wave C. Now I think that's a lot less likely. I think it's more likely this is a wave A, B, C for a zigzag if this were to be the triangle correction. Well, rather, I think no matter what count we're looking at, I think it's more likely this is an A, B, C. I think the bullish count that we did put in the low right here is pretty unlikely, like I mentioned to you guys earlier. So that's basically what I'm looking at in this section right here. That's going to come into play, especially if we take out these highs of this wave A. So that's the second count that I'm looking at, and those are really the two main counts that I'm looking at. And I want to clarify to you guys that there is another possibility that this is a running flat. Now, the flat count, as you guys probably know by now if you watched my previous videos, I'm not a huge fan of. So I'm going to show you guys the flat count real quick. Actually, I don't have it on this chart, but just to summarize for you guys, what we're looking at for the flat count is this being a wave A here. This would be a wave B. So this would be a 3, 3 in the wave B. And this would be a 5 wave impulse for the wave C, which in the case of running flat, it could have ended right here. But in the case of an expanded flat, which comes beyond the end of the wave A, we're going to be expecting it to come all the way down here somewhere. Now, I'm not going to go into it too much, but I'm not a huge fan of this count because you can't really subdivide this section right here very nicely. What you can do is you can subdivide it. You can, get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into these lows right here to give us a running flat. However, if you were to say that would simply be the wave 1 of this wave C, we're looking at a very long wave C, which is not going to have very much symmetry with this wave A. So it is possible this is some sort of extended wave 1. This is a wave 2. We're going to come down for a 3, 4, 5. I just think in the grand scheme of things, it's less likely that is the case, but it is a possibility. Alternatively, there are some other counts where this could be an extended wave 3 in the case that this is a wave 1, 2. And that would mean this would probably be the first of the third. However, I'm not a huge fan of that because that would be assuming that if this were to be, to clarify, a 1, 2 here, and we're going to be putting the 3, 4, 5 down here, and this is simply the first of the third. So I'm going to change these degrees real quick. And this is simply the first of the third. That's going to be a very long wave 2 compared to this wave 2 of a higher degree, which kind of persuades me away from, or rather dissuades me from believing this count is correct. So those are the main reasons why I'm not a huge fan of the flat count. Now, the one possibility that I am considering is this wave C being put in right here for a running flat. But like I mentioned to you guys earlier, it just does not really make a whole lot of sense saying this is a wave 1 right here. Because if we did put in the correction right here, then we want to see an impulsive wave 1 right here, which we don't really get. Alright, I just switched over to the 1 hour chart to show you guys some of the local counts that we could be looking at in this section right here. And before we get into the counts, I want to show you guys real quick that probabilities just kind of indicate to us that we are coming into the top of the range right here. And the top of the range to me would be this golden pocket pulled from this high to this low as shown. And we came into it once more. We've already rejected from it 5 times now. If you say this is a 1, the first rejection, second, third, fourth, and now this is the 5th. So perhaps we could get a breakout. We could just be getting a temporary rejection, come down here a little bit lower, and then finally get a move above it. That would be giving us that ABC if this were to be an A triangle for the wave B and then coming out for that wave C. However, like I mentioned, just kind of probabilities indicate to us that we are coming into the top of the range, and you shouldn't really assume that we are going to break out of this range until you get evidence that we are getting, you know, high volume into these highs, which so far we aren't really getting very high buy volume if you look at the buy volume down here. So to me, I'm a little bit bearish on the short term. I'm not really expecting us to break out right here. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens, but if we do look at the Elliott wave counts, we could see that it is a possibility we could be breaking out for that ABC, especially in this count right here, where this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the first wave A of a zigzag. This would be the wave B of a zigzag for an A, B, C, D, E. And this would be the wave C. And to clarify, this would be a truncated wave 5. So that would actually be giving us a lower target up here to get equality with the wave A and the wave C, because we're considering the orthodox top of the wave A right here as opposed to right here. So then comparing the length of wave A to the bottom of the wave B, which would be this wave E right here of the triangle, then that's going to be giving us a lower target for the 1-to-1, around 49.3K, which actually aligns with this golden pocket right here, taken from this high to the very low right here. So that's going to be a pretty big level to be looking out for to the upside. So overall, this golden pocket right here, I would say, is a pretty massive level if we do take out these highs right here. And that's kind of how I'm viewing the charts right now. If we do, I'm not really expecting us to take out these highs until we do. I'll rephrase that. I'm not really expecting us to take out these highs. I'm expecting us to kind of reject at the top of the range and then come all the way down here. But if we do take out these highs right here, then we could be looking out for these price targets up here before we do get another bigger rejection down here. Oops. So that's kind of how I'm viewing the charts right now. I'm just kind of thinking this is the top of the range, and the probabilities indicate to us that it's more likely we're just going to be rejecting from the top of the range and then coming down. And that would be in the case that most likely this is the triangle count, where this would be some sort of, as shown, A, B, C, D, E. And we just got a throw over of the top AC trend line, which is pretty typical for a triangle. You tend to not see the wave E come exactly to the end of the trend line. You either get a throw over, or you get a move beyond the trend line to kind of fake out and kind of get people bullish, or you see it not even make its way all the way up to the trend line, and it kind of just comes up here and then gets a rejection. So in that sense, it makes sense this could be a triangle. However, I'm not a huge fan of the triangle count, I have to be honest. First of all, because of the volume we're getting. Now, if this was a wave A, so I'm going to clarify, the bottom trend line would look like this, where this would be probably A, B, C, D, E. And if this was a wave A, then we actually get higher volume in the wave B and the wave C than we do get in this wave A. You don't really get decreasing volume, at least on the 1 hour chart, which is typically what you want to see. You want to see volume, especially in a contracting triangle, decrease as so. But it's more so if you look at the kind of the moving average down here, and these volume spikes right here, it kind of increases a little bit, or it even stays steady. I would say more so it increases for the most part, steadily. So to me, it doesn't really look like a triangle based on the volume profile. And also looking at this wave D right here. Looking at this wave D right here, you can't really get a nice zigzag with this wave D. So you have to probably say it's a WXY, but also the WXY does not really make a whole lot of sense, because if you were to say this is a WXY as shown, you know, I'm not really sure how to interpret it. You'd probably have to say this is some sort of double zigzag, but this wave Y would actually not come beyond the end of the wave W. So pretty messy price action, pretty complex price action for the most part, but it is possible this is an A, B, C, D, E. And that would make the most sense in the case that we do get a rejection right here and we start coming down. Now I'm going to go into the main counts that I'm looking at as far as Elliott waves go. And that's going to be, first of all, the count that I showed you guys earlier right here. Oops. And yeah, it would be in the case of this running triangle right here, but it would look like this right here, where we're going to be coming up from this ABC as shown, where this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give us this wave A. Now this would be a truncated wave 5 to put in this wave A. I think that's the best way to get a 5-wave move, a 5-wave impulse into the wave A of the zigzag. Then for this wave B, we get an A, B, C, D, E triangle. Now in this wave C, we get a pretty complex move up for the most part. I don't really like calling this an impulse for the most part because I'm not really sure where to put the wave 1. Initially, I was putting the wave 1 right here and saying this was some sort of A, B, C running flat for the wave 2. However, off these lows, we don't really get a nice 3, 4. We get this move up, which actually is more of a 3-way move for A, B, C. So overall, I'm just going to summarize it to you guys. This is a very complex move up. Definitely not impulsive in my opinion. Now, perhaps we could be getting some sort of messy diagonal, but I have yet to figure out what that could look like. So if you guys have a better count, if you guys have a count for this section right here, I do have a few counts that I could show you guys in the Discord, but for the sake of this video, I don't want to make it too long. So I'm not going to show you guys those counts right here. And I have to be honest, I'm not very confident in those counts as well, because this is just so complex that you kind of have to just give it a little bit more time to play out. So that's mainly what I'm doing due to the complexity of this move up off these lows. Now the bearish count that we could be looking at, which I'm also not a huge fan of, it would be this one right here. So I'm going to delete the brush tools real quick. It would be this one right here, where we'd be looking at an ABC into these highs. This would be a wave 1 here, and this would be a wave 2 here, and this would be all be an extended wave 3, where this is simply the wave 1 of the wave 3, and this could perhaps be an ABC flat. Now this wave C, like I mentioned, not very impulsive, but it could be some sort of funky wave C, funky impulse for the wave C of a flat to give us the wave 2, because we haven't yet taken out these highs right here. So this could still be a 1, 2. And we could be coming down for this wave 3. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this, mainly due to the volume profile and mainly due to the length of time that it's taking to play out. This would be a very long wave 2 compared to this wave 1. And this is going to bring us very far down for this wave 3. If this is simply a wave 1 and a wave 2, then we're going to be looking at something like this, where this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the wave 3, up for the wave 4, down for the wave 5. Now, yeah, that's a possibility, like I mentioned, but I'm more inclined to go with the triangle count, I have to be honest, than this count right here. So if we were to get a rejection up here, I'd probably be going with the triangle count instead of assuming this is an ABC here, and this is a 1, 2, and we're coming down for an extended third. So those are the main counts that I'm looking at on the local time frame. I have a few other counts that I'm kind of considering, which I could show you guys in the Discord later on. But that's mainly what I'm looking at in Bitcoin. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video in the Discord server. Take care. Bye.